When you're listening to something in Japanese and the Japanese sounds like a noise, it's not you, it's the method. Don't just listen, but train your listening. There are so many people say like if you want to improve your listening skills, the thing you gotta do is just listen. Well, not really. In this video, I'm gonna give you a step-by-step way to practice listening that actually works. Recently, I've been thinking about what my teaching values are in terms of comprehension skills since I've launched this new service called SNS on my website, which stands for Study and Submit. Just to get to my point, I'm gonna explain what it is briefly. SNS is an on-demand service where I give you materials, you study by yourself, and then submit your work and the recording of your reading. Then I give you a video feedback for your pronunciations and stuff. Anyway, that's a service that I've been developing. Obviously, I wanted to make sure it's actually effective for my students. So I reflected my own English learning journey and also my experience for teaching Japanese. And then I kind of realized that what I'm going to talk about today is not something that many people talk about. So here we are. By the way, if you don't know me, my name is Meika. I teach Japanese at university in Japan and my online school. Also, I'm currently doing my master's degree at University of St Andrews in Scotland. If you want to know more about me, you can check out my website from the description. Enough about me, let's get into today's topic. First of all, I'm going to tell you the sad news. Just listening to something in Japanese won't help you learn Japanese. Well, it technically will to some extent. Like for example, it will help you to get used to how the Japanese sounds like in general, or it will help your cultural understanding, but that's pretty much about it. And that's not what I'm talking about here. To understand what I mean, I want you to think about two cases that I'm going to tell you now. Okay, think about the time that you watch Japanese TV shows with the subtitles on. You will probably focus on reading the subtitles just to understand what's going on. You might catch some words and phrases if you already know them, or it sounds like some word in your language, or they're just used so many times in the show that's stuck in your brain. For example, I have some students who watched Terrace House. It's a Japanese reality show on Netflix, if I'm correct. And they just watch it so many times that they remember some greetings like Tadaima, Itadakimasu, Ohayo, that kind of stuff. Tadaima is I'm home, Ohayo, good morning, Itadakimasu is a greeting before we start eating, like thank you for the food kind of meaning. So those kind of stuff are still easy to hear even for the beginners because they're just used so many times in the show. But other than that, I think it's quite challenging for beginners to catch some long phrases or grammar. The second case is you're watching some Japanese TV shows without the subtitles on. Well, if you're a beginner, you will have no idea what's going on because the only information that you have is the visual information. And you might be able to guess what's going on, but in terms of like what's being said, you will likely to have no idea. And if you're an advanced learner, you will probably understand what's going on and what's being said most of the time because you already know lots of words and grammar. That's simple, right? Technically, there are some words and phrases that you might not know, but still it's very possible for you to guess, like make an education guess of what the word means because you understand most of the context. So the point is, humans can only learn something slightly above their current level. And then that's why beginners can hear only those simple words because that's a level just above their current level. If you're reading a book, around 3 to 5 new words per page is the right level for learning. Well, now you know that just listening won't help you learn Japanese, and your next question might be, then what can we do? How should we learn? How should we improve the listening skills? Well, thank you for asking. I'm gonna answer that question now. If I tell you to just memorize words and phrases and grammar, you might be upset. You should definitely do that, but that's not something I'm gonna tell you today. If you wanna improve the listening skills, what you gotta do is reading aloud. You might think I'm crazy, but I'm gonna tell you why it's effective. Here's the logic. Human beings have stronger listening skills than their speaking skills. Imagine the two cases I'm gonna tell you now in your first language. Case 1. Imagine if you're listening to someone who speaks way faster than you are. There are two possible results here. First one, you might not be able to understand what the hell they're saying because it's too fast. And the second one could be, you might still be able to understand what they're saying, but you just cannot speak that fast. Case 2. Imagine if you're listening to someone who speaks way slower than you are. Well, you see my point. There's no way that you will have no idea what they're saying if they're speaking in a comprehensive way, right? So that's what it is. Babies are the same. They might not be able to speak like adults, but they understand. Babies might not be able to pronounce words like adults do, but they understand. That means if you can speak fast, you can listen. It's just so simple. So many people say, just listen for listening practice. You will get there eventually, but it takes time. But if you practice reading aloud, the result is just extraordinary. But there are some things that you gotta be careful when you do it. So I'm gonna tell you 3 things that you gotta be careful. First is the pronunciation. If you don't know the correct pronunciations, please do not read aloud. That might actually make things worse. For example, I used to sound like this before I studied English seriously. Did you get what I said? I used to sound like this before I studied English seriously. And if I kept practicing reading aloud like that, I wouldn't be able to understand when I listen to English. So make sure you know the actual pronunciation when you practice reading aloud. Second, make sure you know what's being said. If you just read whatever is written without knowing what they actually mean, you wouldn't be able to recognize those words when you encounter those words in listening. And the passage can be from anywhere. Textbooks, podcast script, blogs, whatever. As long as it's your level or just above your level. Third, when practicing reading aloud, just use a couple sentences and practice them again and again until you sound like natives. You can start from one sentence if you're a beginner. You can do that with different passages every day or whenever you can do. As long as you keep doing that constantly, you would definitely get better in listening and speaking as well. So this is what my values are in terms of developing listening skills. Now I'm gonna explain how I implemented this logic into this new service so that you can just copy some of what I offer. This is on-demand course, and this is the actual material that I use for lesson 4. I put the link here to the reading passage. They're usually from like free online source, but I'm trying to make them by myself now because I want that source to have text and audio, not AI audio, but human being audio. But it's kind of hard to find. That's why I started doing this new series called Hajimete no series 4 and 4 level, because that's the level I'm offering at the moment. Anyway, you do this reading, then you try to understand by yourself first. There are some comprehension questions that you can tackle and one open-ended question to let you express about yourself. Just in case that you don't know some vocabulary, I also put the checklist. You can just download it and use as you like. Then you finally do the oral reading. I choose some bits from the reading comprehension. You record your reading and submit those clips to me with the comprehension questions. Then I'll give you a video feedback specifically for your pronunciation and intonations. Here you will know what you're good at and what you need to improve. By recording your reading, not only I but also you can see how you sound like and then compare them with the model audio. Even if you're self-learning, you should definitely do that because it helps you a lot. But at the same time, it's quite challenging for learners to notice what their mistakes are in terms of like pronunciations, because those mistakes are usually something that they cannot hear because of the difference between Japanese and the language they speak. So by having someone check your reading, you will get to know what exactly you cannot do at the moment and what you pronounce differently. But also, isn't it nice to have some set goals and things to do regularly, especially when you're doing self-learning? Anyway, today I talked about what my values are to improve the listening skills and how you can actually apply to your study. I hope this video was helpful for you and motivated you to practice listening. If you like this video or think this video was helpful, please give a thumbs up and subscribe the channel. And if you're interested in this new service that I just launched, you can check out my website and apply for the information session. It's for free. Thank you so much for watching this video and see you in the next video. Bye!